Hello and welcome. I made a couple of videos about Advanced Squad Leader Starter Kit, but today I am going to start with full Advanced Squad Leader. And this time I'm going to go in some different way. I'm going to talk about a full Advanced Squad Leader completely, about everything, about all kinds of rules, just from the beginning. I know I made videos about Starter Kit, but I know that some people might watch this video without knowledge about Starter Kit. They just purchased Advanced Squad Leader and they want to jump into the entire game without walking through the Starter Kit. In my opinion, it is the best to start with a Starter Kit, because it is a great introduction to the Advanced Squad Leader. But if you want to start your entire adventure with Advanced Squad Leader without Starter Kit, be my guest, and today I'm going to talk about it. First, you get this big, yes, it is big box. You get big scary book called Advanced Squad Leader Rulebook, and now you want to start. My advice is that you should forget about all these scenarios that you will find in the box. Yes, I know there is a lot of them, they might look cool, but in my opinion they are not very good when it comes to making people get used to the Advanced Squad Leader. My advice is that you should go into the Multiman publishing site and download 10 scenarios from the original Squad Leader. They were remade for the Advanced Squad Leader, and they are simply amazing when it comes to the introduction. They are allowing you to learn Advanced Squad Leader step by step. They are not making you jump into the deep water with all kinds of rules you may find in this big scary book, but instead they allow you to learn the game in much more friendly fashion. And I'm going to start my videos about Advanced Squad Leader with the Guards Counterattack. This is probably one of the most popular scenarios for the Advanced Squad Leader ever made, and who knows, maybe even the most played scenario for ASL ever made. It is the first scenario for the original Squad Leader, so yes, it was played even in 70s, and even today it is very, very playable, about a part of the battle for Stalingrad taking place October 6, 1942. So, let's go and take a look at the scenario card first. We have a title, we have some historical background, next we have a board. This picture shows us which part of the board you will use and how you should place your board. So let's take a look. Here we have our board number 1. You can see there is a small 1, and this is how you should place your board, with a 1 in the lower left corner. Next, only hex row AP are playable. So all the Advanced Squad Leader boards have 2 parts, and all the Advanced Squad Leader boards can be joined together. In this scenario we will only use left part of the map A, map 1, and only hex row AP. So this is hex row A, this is hex row P. So we won't use these hex rows or any others. So this is our battlefield. Next, we have victory conditions. We will talk about them later. And balance. Balance is an interesting thing. I rarely use balance, actually. And if you play this scenario 2 or 3 times and you feel that it is imbalanced, then you may add balance for Germans and for Soviets, because we are fighting with Germans against Soviets. And this allows you to make each side a bit more stronger. So, as for today, I'm not going to use any of these balance rules, but this might be a good idea if you want to play any scenario more and change a bit. So these suggestions might be quite nicely. Next, we have a turn track. This scenario has 5 turns, and information who is going to set up his units first, and then who moves first. Next, we have a setup for our units. Let's take a look. You can see there are pictures with the counters, then you know how many of each counters you need and where they are placed. It says in the building F5, so we have to check F5 hex. It is here, and in the building means that you can place them in the entire building as you like. This scenario is quite unique because it tells you in details where you can place your units. In most of the scenarios you will find that they say north of the hex row M, south of the hex row P, and so on and so on. But in this scenario they are placed in the very detailed way, which makes it quite unique and interesting as well. Next, we have some information about units participating in this battle. So we know that this is, for Germans, this is Company H of the 389 Infantry Regiment, and now ELR 4. This is something quite important to remember about. This is efficiency rating. It tells us how good our units are when they are under the enemy fire and so on. And next we have SAN, which is Sniper Activation Number. This is a number that might make enemy sniper activate when you will roll such a number during certain rolls. I will tell about them later too. Okay, first thing first, let's take a look on the components. Oh, one more thing, special rules. A lot of scenarios comes with much more special rules here, but this scenario comes with a very little number of special rules, which is good. Which is good because it allows us to play it easily. So we have environmental conditions are moderate with no wind at start. So environmental conditions can be different. It can be rainy, it can be snow, it can be frost. There are various environmental conditions, but for this scenario they are moderate, so they do nothing. There is also no wind at start. A wind might start to blow during the game, but at the beginning of the game we have no wind, no special weather stuff, so it's perfect for us. Okay, let's talk about game components. I mean counters and the board. Let's start with board maybe. And now I'm going to zoom my camera a bit, and let's go to see what do we have on the board. First, all these green hexes are clear terrain. There's not much special about them. You just have to spend one movement point to move through the clear terrain, and clear terrain is cool when you want to move quickly, but it is also very dangerous when you are moving through the clear terrain and the enemy fires at you. You will learn about it soon. Next, we have two kinds of road. Paved road and dirt road. They are mostly the same. There are some difference between them, but we don't need any of these differences in this scenario. And the most important thing about road is that when you are making your entire movement down the road, then you get one additional movement point. So, for example, when each infantry unit has 4 movement points, and when it starts here, it might move 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 because it is moving down the road. But if it would if it would start its movement here, then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing if 1, 2, 3, 4. It has to stop because it moves out of the road. Next we have woods. Woods are these deep green symbols, and they cost you 2 movement points to enter, and they are terrain that has its own terrain effect modifier, commonly known as TAM in the Advanced Squad Leader. TAM is a modifier for combat. When you are in any terrain that has its own TAM, and enemy fires at you, he has to add this TAM modifier to his roll. So, for example, wood has TAM of 1, so when enemy fires at you while you are in the wood, then he has to add +1 to his die roll. Finally, we have buildings. There are basically two kinds of buildings: stone building and wood building. Wood building has a TAM of 2 and movement cost of 2. Stone building has TAM of 3 and movement cost of 2. So, stone building is probably the best place for you when you want to defend. It provides some nice TAM, while wood building is not. Also, you will learn later, maybe not during this game, but later, that wood building has one problem. It might go in flames easier than stone building. Okay, everything I said so far is probably well known for the people who played Advanced Squad Leader Starter Kit. But now let's go to the stuff which is not known for you who played Starter Kit. This is about building. There are three kinds of buildings. First, these are single-story houses. These are one-hex buildings with no staircase symbol. Staircase symbol is that white square. When we have a single hex building like this, that, or without a staircase symbol, this means that it is a one-level building. This means that you can enter such a building, but you cannot go up. Next, we have two-story houses. Any multi-hex building without staircase symbol is two-story house. This means that it has no special. It has staircase in each of its hex, and when you want to go up, you just have to be there and go one level up, because in such building you can only go one level up. How to make it? Let's take this German squad and let us assume it is here. It wants to go up. To do it, you take a level 1 counter and place it below such a unit. You have to spend one movement point to go one level up. And now, voila, you are one level up. Two-story houses has only two levels, so you cannot go up the level 1. You can go only on the level 0 or level 1. And finally, we have multi-story buildings. These are multi-hex buildings with staircase symbols. For example, this, that, this or that. These buildings have two levels. So, but you can be here, for example, like that, and you can be even here, like that. And of course, you can still be on the level 0, like that. So, it looks more like a cake, I would say. But you can only go up and down with a staircase. So, if you want to go on the level 1 on this hex, you have to start on this hex, go one level up here, and then move there. This is pretty important to remember. You can notice that some buildings have this black circle, like here, here, or there. These are manholes. They allow you to perform server movement. Server movement is not something available every time. It can be only given by special scenario rules. As you might notice, this scenario has no server movement in the special rules, so we cannot use them. It has, however, server movement in the balance. If you want to add balance rules, you can allow Russians to perform server movement. But we don't care about balance rules for now, so no server movement in this scenario. I will probably return to the server movement in some other playthrough. Server movement is a bit complicated, but it's useful, especially when you play with some partisans, guerrilla, uprising, and so on. So, that's all when it comes to the buildings. Oh, maybe I should say something, one thing more. There are situations when you have a level 3 buildings. But level 3 buildings are only allowed due to the special scenario rules. So normally you can only go up level 1 or level 2. But if special scenario rules allows you, you can go on up to the level 3. Sometimes you can also go up the roof. But this is one more thing that only special scenario rules allows you to do so. So normally we can only use these two counters, and the others are used with the special scenario rules. That happens quite rarely. So don't care about it for now. That's all when it comes to the board. Now let's go to the counters. As for our units, we have basically two kinds of counters. Single man counter that represents single guy, and multi-man counters that represent a unit. There can be different units. Mostly these are squads. Each squad has three silhouettes on its counter. So you can see, if you can see 3 soldiers, then you know it is squad. If you see 2 of them, then you can tell that this is half squad or crew. But as for now, we are starting with half squads, with squads only. There are some symbols and factors on the counter too. First, it is a class. Here you can see that these are class 1 or first line German squads. There can be more. Some units are considered elite, just like here. Some are considered second class, conscript or green. We will see about it later. Next, we have 3 major factors. First is the firepower. These 4. So this German squad has decent firepower. Some units have it better, like for example 6, sometimes even 7 or even 8, and very few units have smaller firepower than 4. So these German first line squads have not very impressive firepower, but they have quite a good firepower range. It is 6. This means that they can fire on the enemy units that are in the 6 hexes range. This fire range is very good. I don't remember units having more than 6, so you can tell that these German squads have very good range of fire. Finally, we have morale. Morale is this last factor. It is 7. It is pretty good. There are only very few units with morale higher than 7. For example, you can see that these Soviet elite units have morale of 8, but mostly 7 is considered very good. There are units with 6, 6, sometimes with 5, but it rarely happens. But mostly it is 7 or 6. Next, you can see that this small 1 here, next to the 4, this is smoke exponent. When unit wants to create a smoke on its hex or on the adjacent hex, it has to roll with 1d6 and get result less or equal than the smoke exponent. You can tell that with a smoke exponent of 1, these German squads have not a big chance to make some smoke, but still they have some chance. Finally, you can tell that their range of fire is underlined. What it means? When unit has its range of fire underlined, then it has spraying fire ability. Spraying fire ability allows you to divide your firepower and to fire at more than one target. Normally, you can only fire at one target. You have to choose a unit which is in your range and in your line of sight. Then you are taking your firepower and you are firing on this unit. But when you have spraying fire ability, you may divide your firepower. For example, this unit has firepower of 4, so he can attack 2 enemy units with the firepower of 2. It is not a very impressive firepower, but sometimes, for example, when they are in the clear terrain or in the adjacent hex, this option comes in handy. Also, sometimes units have their firepower underlined too, just like these Soviet elite squads. This means that a unit has assault fire ability. Assault fire allows you to get positive modifier to your firepower when you are firing during advancing fire phase. I will tell about it later when we will go to the advancing fire phase during the game. And next, let's go on the other side of the counter. When unit fails to make morale check during the various moments of the game, it is broken. And then it is flipped on this side. What do we have here? First, it's morale. Then we have points. These points are really not important for us. They are used only when you create your own scenarios and you want to keep the balance. They show the value of the unit. So, during the gameplay, it means nothing. There are also some pictures with our soldiers wounded, shocked, or even killed. And that's all. Also, I think I should mention this, there is also a letter. This letter is not used in the game. It is used only when you want to notice something about this particular unit. So it allows you to remember that this was a squad with P, this was with squad G, and so on and so on. Sometimes, in some situations, it is useful. Okay, next about single-man counters. Single-man counter has icon of the one guy, so you can tell this is one single-man counter. His name, these are mostly random German, Russian, American, French, and so names. And 2 factors. First one is single-man morale. So you can tell that this commander has morale of 8. And then his modifier. His modifier can be -1, -2, 0, or even, very rarely, it can be plus. It can be plus, this means it is negative modifier. Because when you get -1 or -2 modifier, then this is positive modifier. This modifier allows you to use it during morale checks of the units with such commander. You can use it when such unit is firing and has its commander with them. So then it is used as a modifier for dice roll. But when you get plus, then it also works, but in the negative way. Because, let's say, during the morale check, you have to roll 2d6 and get a result which is lower or equal than your morale. When you have a commander with minus modifier, then you subtract 1 from the given result. But when you have a commander with +1 modifier, then you have to add +1 to the result. So you can tell which is better or which is worse. Some commanders have no modifiers, like for example this guy. So you may ask, if there is any use of them. Yes, it is, because the primal goal of any commander is to rally their broken troops. You want to keep your commanders safe. There is always an idea to place all your commanders on the front lines and use their combat modifiers for battle. Yes, it is a tempting idea, but you don't want to lose most of even all your commanders, because if so, then your broken troops will be rallied very, very slowly, and it is best way to lose the battle. So try to keep some of your commanders safe, especially those with 0 modifier, because they cannot give you any modifier during combat, but try to not lose all of them. There is a special kind of single-man counter on the Russian side. It is called Commissar. You can recognize Commissar by the different icon and by the very special type of factors. Commissar might have 9-0 or 10-0. These are only units with 9-0 or 10-0. All the normal commanders have 9-1, 9-2, or 10-1, or 10-2. Only Commissars have 9-0 or 10-0. Commissars have no combat abilities, but they are very good in rallying. They are better in rallying than your normal commanders, but it comes with a risk. Commissar might help you to rally your unit faster, but there is also a danger that Commissar will shoot some of your soldiers, thinking they are panicking, and make your unit weaker. Even so, they are quite useful for the Soviets. That's all for the units. Of course, there are more units in the game. These are I'm talking only about these used in this scenario, but when we will play more scenarios, I will talk about them. Next, special weapons. This game comes with a big number of special weapons that will help you to turn enemies' lives into hell. Let's talk about special weapons a bit. For example, in this scenario we have 3 kinds of special weapons: light machine guns, medium machine guns, or heavy machine guns. You can already tell that Germans have much more of this fancy stuff than Soviets, who have only single medium machine gun, while Germans have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 light machine guns and 1 medium machine gun and 1 heavy machine gun. So, what do we have on the machine guns counters? First, of course, icon. Next, its name, so we know this is medium machine gun, this is light machine gun, and so on. Next, we have its firepower, which is 5, for example, for this medium machine gun, and its range, which is 12. You can see it is underlined, so this medium machine gun allows you to perform spraying fire as well. Next, we have portage points. This tells us how heavy such weapon is. For example, this medium machine gun has 3 portage points. This light machine gun has 1 portage point, so it is very light, and your unit can carry this light machine gun without much problem, while this heavy machine gun is heavy. This Soviet medium machine gun is even heavier. It has 5 portage points. And this can be a problem. When you are carrying such a weapon, it might slow you down. There is a solution for this problem. I will tell about it soon, but let's talk about other things on the counters first. Next, we have a rate of fire. A rate of fire is this number in the square, and if you will roll this number or a result which is less than this number during your firing, but only on the color die, you may use this special weapon in the same phase again. If you get no rate of fire, you cannot use this weapon during this phase. This might sound complicated now, but I will show how it works during the game. And finally, we have a breakdown number. For example, this Soviet medium machine gun has breakdown number of 11. When you are firing with such a weapon, and during your fire roll, you will roll a number which is equal to the breakdown number or higher, then weapon breaks. You can see that these German guns have no breakdown number. If there is no breakdown number on the counter, then it means that the breakdown number is 12. If weapon breaks, we have to flip it on the other side. You can see that white cross, which is a symbol that this is breakdown side. There are two numbers here: repair number of destroy number. When you want to repair your special weapon, you have to roll 1d6. If you will get a number which is equal or less than repair number, then this weapon returns to normal. But if you get a result which is equal or higher than the destroy number, then this weapon is broken down for good, and you can remove it from the game. Also, I mentioned the problem with some weapons being too heavy. Some armies, like for example Germans, have an opportunity to dismantle their guns. For example, here we have a counter for German medium machine gun, and if you can flip it, it works for German heavy machine gun. While dismantled, such a gun works like a light machine gun. But it has 2 portage points, it has rate of fire of 1, it has 3 firepower. Yes, you can fire with this even if dismantled, but only with firepower of 3, and rate of fire and range of fire of 8. So you can see that its firepower and range of fire are halved, but still you can use it. Of course, you can dismantle weapon, and then you can make it back to normal when you will carry it on the proper position. So the biggest difference is this portage points, and which is a key importance between weapon which is fully operable and dismantled. It has 2 and it has 4. There are much more special weapons in this game, but in this scenario there are only these light, medium and heavy machine guns. Snipers are another thing which is new. There are no snipers in the starter kit, so learning snipers is one of the first things when you enter from the starter kit to the full advanced squad leader. Snipers are nasty bastards that you are going to hate. They can shoot your commander, break your team in the worst possible moment. How they work? I mentioned before sniper activation number, which is here, and it is same for both sides, it is 6. I always use 1d6 to remember about this number, because it is something easy to forget. So, every time, whenever you make 2 hit check, morale check, task check, infantry fire table roll, or entrenching, when you roll this number on your 2d6, then there is a chance for sniper to be awakened. If such thing happened, you have to check what kind of sniper woke up. There are 2 possible kinds of snipers. Big sniper, he appears if you roll 1, or small sniper, he appears if you roll 2. If you rolled 1 or 2, this means that sniper activates. You have to check when check his counter. He starts on the board within 6 hexes range from any enemy units. This means that you can place them mostly anywhere, especially in such a crowded area like the board in this scenario. You will see it during the setup phase. Sorry, setup stuff. And now, when you know it was small or big sniper, it is good to place your die on his hex. Sorry, on his counter, so you will remember what kind of sniper he is. You have to check where he goes. First, you have to roll where. you can see these numbers. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to make a roll. 5. So we know that he will go here. Next we have to roll to see how many hexes he goes. 5. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, sorry, when he is there, he has to move on the nearest hex possible with enemy units. If there are more of such hexes, for example, let's take 2 German units, for example like that, then we have to make a random selection. Random selection means that you have to make a roll and declare. For example, 1, 2, 3 for them, 4, 5, 6 for them, it is 2, so sniper goes here. And now he attacks. If it is big sniper, then he kills one single man counter or break multi-man counter. If there are more than one unit on such a hex, for example like that, you have to make a random selection again to see who was his target, commander or man. For example here 1, 2, 3 for the squad, 4, 5, 6 for the commander, 6, so he attacks and kills this commander. If it is small sniper with 2, then he wounds single man counter and pins multi-man counter. But if your units survived his attack, they might strike back. They might try to attack enemy sniper, and to make it happen you have to roll 2 on the 2d6. It sounds almost impossible, yes, but there are some nice modifiers for that. First, for each half squad equivalent on such a hex you get -1. So, for example, let's return to this situation. Let's say that they are going to attack this sniper. Each squad has a value of 2 half squads. So it is -2 because of the 2 half squads and -1 because of the commander modifier. So now we have to roll with 2d6 and we have to roll 2, but we have -3 modifier. So for example, if I would roll something like that, it would be 5 and -3 is 2. So we managed to hit this sniper. And if you hit this sniper, then you have to lower enemy sniper activation number by 1. And if it's lowered to 2 or less, then sniper is eliminated for good and he is removed from the board. Okay, that's basically most of the sniper rule stuff. Of course there is more, and I will talk about it during the gameplay when there will be a chance to use a sniper, and I think there will be a lot of chances to use a sniper because 6, which is a sniper activation number in this scenario, makes snipers activate quite frequently. Okay, so that's all when it comes to the counters, and now we can go to the setup. This scenario says that German sets up first. So we have to take German units and place them in the given hexes. Okay, here you can see setup. And let's talk about setup rules a bit. First, you can set up your units on the upper levels of the building if you like, just like I did here. Why it is important? Because when your unit is on the one level and another unit is on the other, they can still fire together as a fire group because they are on the adjacent hexes, but enemy cannot target both of them with the single fire. Of course he can use it if he uses spraying fire, but normally enemy may only fire on this unit or that unit. He cannot fire at each of them, so it is quite a good idea to place them on the different levels. Next, German player might deploy 10% of his units, fractions rounded up. So, German player has 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 squads. So 10% of this means makes 13%. So it is 1 and 3. And since it is fraction rounded up, then it is 2. This means that I can take 2 of my squads and take 2 half squads for each and place them instead of these squads. I'm going to do it with this one squad. I will remove this squad from the game. I will take 2 half squads. Here they are. And place them on the upper levels of this building. Okay, next thing is that you can start with your heavy machine guns being dismantled, if you like. But I don't need it. I like how it is. I feel alright with having this heavy machine gun ready to fire. It is important to remember that you have to place your special weapon on your squad to use it. If a special weapon is placed below unit, just like here, then this means that this unit doesn't possess this special weapon. So it is important to remember to keep your weapons up above your counters. Maximum stack number is 3. You can overstack your hexes at the beginning of the game, but it comes with some negative consequences, especially when enemy fires at you. So trust me, you don't want to overstack your hexes. In fact, it is not wise to even stack if you don't have any other option. Because creating a stacks is like creating perfect targets for the enemy. Because when you are firing on the enemy stack, all the units in this stack are targets of your fire. So you don't want to stack if you don't have any other option. For example, here I have a very big stack of German units. There are 3 squads, 2 light machine guns and the commander. Normally I wouldn't create such a crazy stack, but that's how setup tells me to do so, so I have no other option. Alright, and the last thing, victory conditions. The Russians win at the game end if they control 2 or more buildings initially occupied by the Germans, then they lose of their own initially held stone buildings to the German control and or have favorable 3-to-1 ratio, Russian to German, of unbroken squad equivalents. So, what is our plan when it comes to Russians? I'm going to use this big number of my elite squads, I have 12 of them here, to attack on this building. I hope I will be able to capture it quickly. Then I have to think. I have 2 options: to attack this building or that building, because I have to control at last 2 of them. Capturing this building should be easy, I hope so, but this building might be a problem. Of course, it is stone building and it has this amazing -2 commander, which helps his men a lot. This building has no such commanders. There is only one 8-0 commander, but it is a bigger building with 3 squads and 2 of them with light machine guns. So I will try to soften them a bit, firing them from here and maybe from there. But the first thing I need to do is to capture this building, and then we will see. As for Germans, I think that this building will be lost. Sooner or later, Russian advantage is very big, so they will probably wipe these units away. I have to do everything I can to keep this building, because it is logically another target for Russians, and I have to keep my hope that they will be able to survive. I need to remember that I still have this unit here. It is a squad, very good commander, and heavy machine gun. So it might be tempting to move them away from this hex and to place them somewhere here to make my defense stronger, but I have to remember that this is one of the victory hexes. So if I will leave it, there is still a chance that Soviets might move here. It is not a big chance, because Germans are keeping this building, so all these hexes are under fire of these units. But even so, there is such a risk. I have to remember about it. So that's the setup. That's my plans, and that's all for this part of the video. If you noticed any mistakes, feel free to tell me. And don't worry about making mistakes all by yourself. Playing Advanced Squad Leader is like making one mistake after another. This is how this game works. It is virtually impossible to remember all the rules for Advanced Squad Leader, but even so, it is fun to play. In the next video, we will start the battle. Thank you for watching, and see you again.